So as we look at my setup here briefly, I'm going to narrate this run so that you guys kind of get an idea of what I'm thinking about as we progress through. It's not going to go over absolutely everything, but it's going to give you a good idea of how I'm approaching the run itself. If you don't know who I am, I'm local Tico Brohe. I stream Monday through Friday, 10:30 Eastern Time, for about 6 hours. I stream Dragon's Dogma. We have a good time there. I might not speak through the whole run, but I'm going to give you the important stuff and then try and stay quiet so that the gameplay can talk. But I'm chatty, so I might ramble. Let's have fun. Also, I have my coffee here, so if you hear me have a drink, that's what that is. I apologize in advance. So to begin, in pretty much every room, we want to have Magick Rebalancer. So you'll see me buff it here. Magick Rebalancer increases your magic damage and magic defense. It stacks kind of like a Periapt does, up to 4 times. You'll see me do 5 every once in a while. It's because I don't count. Simple as that. 2 room configurations we can have. One is Sari and the other is Goblins, which we don't really mind which one we get. We got Goblins today. That means that we have Garm as our potential random encounter that we might have. We may not have Garm. And in fact, I believe we don't, if I remember this correctly. I'm recording this after the fact. But we'll see. I usually just pop up here to start. It's safer to hit all these things. We can attack them before, in this case, Garm spawns, or if we had the Sari configuration, Death spawns. Gives us a good advantage on everything. No risk. Eliminating risk is the name of the game. Leap worms spawn when you get to the corner here, so we're going to ricochet on them. And Garm can spawn as we approach and exit this doorway, so we'll probably prep a Ricochet, just in case. We don't have them this time. Oh well. Hopefully we have some of them later. I dodge roll out of habit. It doesn't use stamina. It feels faster, I don't know if it is. We're buffing Magick Rebalancer again to make sure it doesn't fall off. We have 2 configurations we can have here. Hellhounds with the Fire Drake or Thunder Wyvern with 2 Gargoyles. I prefer the Hellhounds because they're a lot more consistent in how they move. Gargoyles can sometimes just pop up right in front of you and startle you. In this case, we got lucky. We got the Hellhounds. I'm going to stay in this spot for 2 reasons. One, it keeps us far enough back so that the Hellhounds don't shoot their fireballs up at us from the ground floor where the dragon is present. And 2, it gives us a good vantage of the stairs so that we can see if they do come our way. If you listen, the music hasn't changed yet. Typically, well, there it goes. But typically the Hellhounds won't really start making their way to you until the music changes. I don't know if the music has to do with them noticing that you're in combat, or what. Now that I know that the Hellhounds are active, you'll see me step further up away from the top of the stairs when I shoot. It's because the Hellhounds can shoot up the stairs, but if I'm standing at the edge of the stairs, I'm going to get caught. The Shadowshackle here is for safety. If I am shooting the dragon, and the Hellhounds come up behind me, they can't shoot me until they get closer because of the angle of the stairs. So it catches them. Is the thought process. A lot of times it doesn't matter because we kill them first. There are 5 hellhounds, so I know I need to kill a couple more, and I'm not going to be happy or safe until then. This guy almost got us though. A little scary. Feels bad. I know I still have more hellhounds, so as I come down here, I'm going to immediately prep to shoot them this direction. There they are. 1, 2. Vault of Defiled Truth is next. Again, 2 configurations. One is the Cockatrice, the other is the Gore Cyclops. Both of them start with the same goblins in this room, so we'll kill them. I prefer the Cockatrice configuration because the random spawn with that is death, which is very manageable for us as a Magick Archer. Otherwise, we have Garm. Looks like we got Gore Cyclops, so we will have Garm if they spawn. The reason Garm spawning is a little bit nerve-wracking is because the locations they can spawn, one of them is when you go through a door over here, and it has the opportunity to be troublesome. Now we have enough magic damage so that we can hit these these goblins that are resistant to magic and still do damage and kill them. If you don't do enough damage, it's still worthwhile using Ricochet Hunter on them because it will, if it hits them like 3 times, it will actually stagger them and launch them in the air, interrupting their cast. Like that one just got launched. Now he died at the same time, but it's neither here nor there. If he didn't die, he would have still been launched at that hit, and that means we can just slap him. It gives us time to do what we need. I'm going to start immediately intoning Ricochet Hunter because Garm can spawn as you walk through that doorway. We got lucky this time. This is not where we want them to spawn, so that makes us happy. The only thing that's a danger if we got the other configuration is there are 3 ranger pawns on the balcony above the exit door, which means we take a slightly different route. After we kill that first cater of goblins in the sewer area, the water, we instead go towards the Cockatrice back, and from there what we'll do is we will go up the ramp all the way up around to that balcony and Ricochet Hunter them down. Otherwise they might just shoot us. Pretty clean and easy golden fight. Now, the only thing that kind of concerns us remaining in this room are the fact that there are 3 sirens down below. Sirens aren't particularly scary to us, but they might just fly right up at us abruptly and we might not see them. So we want to avoid them as best we can by shooting them before they are aware of us. As I said, there are 3. On hard mode, solo, each of them is around 8,200 experience, something like that. So I can count how many times I get that experience drop to determine whether I've gotten it. And that's the third one, 8203. So now I know that the 3rd siren is dead. I can shoot these guys to my heart's content. dropping back to avoid the rock that he can throw up here. Most of the time, they'll hit the ground below you. Sometimes they will hit you. That time he threw an explosive thing. If he got that a little bit closer to me, even though it was below me, like on the ground, it could have still staggered me. We count that as a hit, even if it doesn't do damage. Fortunately, he did not. That was me thinking we were in a different area. I was thinking we were in the Forgotten Halls there. There was nothing that spawns here other than a boulder with a single goblin. I'm trying not to go past the threshold here because Garm can spawn like that, and then I forgot that I was trying not to go past the threshold. Otherwise I would have prepped a Ricochet Hunter to begin. Fortunately, we are extremely strong. And a Ricochet Hunter will still absolutely shred these guys, especially once they enter this hallway. There are 3 Garms, so I just need to make sure that I get all 3. And we're good. As you might recall, when Garm die, they do their Death Howl Wail thing. That does damage and blinds. So we just kind of wait until it is done with that, and then we'll go. Next is the Gutter of Misery. The Gutter of Misery has 2 configurations, just like every room, except for Spar Yard, which has 3. Gutter of Misery can either have Saurian or Undead first. We want Saurian for the no-hit run. Neither are difficult, but if we get Undead, when we get into the sewer portion of the Gutter of Misery, we can have, or we will have, Corrupted Pawns, Strider, Magick Archer, and Sorcerer Pawns, I want to say. They might be mages. Either way, the ones that are scary are the mage ones and the Strider ones, because they will just use their arrows or their little magic bolt attack, just the regular basic attack with the staff, and they can catch us unawares sometimes if we don't get lucky ricochets, and I've had that ruin a fair few runs. We have Saurian, so instead we're going to have like the Grim Goblins with Eliminators, extremely easy for us to take care of because they're all melee. This configuration also has an Elder Ogre that might spawn. And it does. There it is. No double bow. More ricochets. You might be wondering why we have Explosive Bolt since we haven't used it yet. Explosive Bolt is specifically for Frost Worm. Possibly for Cursed Dragon. So Shrine of Futile Truths, Gazer Fight. Pretty easy fight. The strategy we use is we buff up. We shear the tentacles off its head, off of its carapace, and when we shoot off a tentacle, it will stagger him and interrupt his cast, more importantly. And if we do that a good number of times, I don't actually know, I don't count. I suppose we can. But if we do it enough times, we can, he'll fall to the ground. And we can shoot his eye. And we do about 110% of a health bar per shot. So we shoot him like 9 times and he dies. If you see random pauses, it's because I was live streaming this, and that's probably me responding to something someone said in chat that made me think. Like I said, pretty easy. You might have noticed that during that shot, for most of them I just shot regular arrows, but for some of them I used Ricochet Hunter His body gets in the way sometimes, so on the ones that are closer to the edge around him, I'll use Ricochet Hunter to ensure that I actually shear off the tentacle, because they'll kind of go through him. If we don't use that, we just might not hit the tentacle, and then he gets a cast off, and it interrupts us. So here, we're going to want a Magick Rebalancer because there are two configurations. One of them might have Strigoi with Wraiths. If we have that one, we need to have a Sixfold Bolt prepped to hit the first Strigoi because it kind of pops up over the stairs, and if we don't shoot it immediately, it makes our job much harder. I'm going to look over the wall. I don't see a Strigoi roosting over there, which means we didn't get that configuration. We got the Undead with the Wargs. Undead, much easier. The Wargs do not spawn until you get to a certain point. So I put down 2 Shadowshackles to cover the entire expanse of the bridge. Run forward, run around. They spawn, they'll chase me, and get caught. There are 6, so I just need to count that I've killed 6. Elder Ogre spawned already. That's good. Otherwise, it'll spawn at the bottom of the tower. I don't really mind either location, but in my experience, this one is less likely to start rushing you immediately. Now you'll see me hug the outer wall here of the corridor. It's because that little section of tree roots to our left right now has leaf worms in it, and they don't come out unless you get close, and you can't shoot them with Ricochet Hunter while they aren't active. So I'm just going to hug the outer wall here to avoid them even spawning altogether. That way I don't have to panic. Buffing up because poisoned undead are very stout in the health department, and I want to have as much damage as possible quickly. That way I keep preemption damage possible. I've been bursting down. Otherwise it's a slow endeavor. I like to drop down here instead of taking the stairs. The reason is these guys right here can sometimes spawn as you're walking past them, even if you go through the room the normal way, and you get caught, like just colliding into their body that's on the floor, and then you don't know what's happening, and then they'll just slap you. That was me prepping a Ricochet Hunter just in case the Elder Ogre spawned, because here's the other location it can, but then I remembered that we already killed it. There's some... I don't know if you guys heard that. That was my dog playing with a toy. So if you did, I apologize. Or, you're welcome if it brightened your day. Shadowshackle's just in case one of those Bone Lords, or whatever they're called, Skeleton Lords. Just in case Bone Daddy charges us. as we end this, the next room, Tower of Treason's Repaid, 2 configurations. One has Strigoi with 13 succubi and a metal golem. The other one is skeleton sorcerers with banshees. And then some stuff at the ground, some more skeletons on the ground. Both are fine, but both require us to be strong. So we'll see what we got. Okay, we got the Banshees with the Skeleton Sorcerers configuration. First thing we want to do is shoot that guy. He will usually start Ingle. He's the only one that can really shoot us directly. Everybody else is either going to cast Levin on the ground or shoot Ingle onto the ground below us. You'll see me take specific angles to shoot these guys and wait for their Ingles to come out, because if I'm on the bridge there and they shoot the bottom of the bridge, the Ingle will still hit me through the floor. Now with this configuration, we can also have a cursed dragon spawn, so I'm going to shoot a lot of these banshees that are on the ground from up here before progressing, because the cursed dragon usually will spawn at its earliest as I'm crossing the next little walkway. So I want to clear most of my path before he shows up, because there's a very specific area we want to be to fight him. Two more Banshee will spawn on this bridge once we get closer. And now we have a clear path, but our Cursed Dragon hasn't spawned yet, which is a little bit annoying, because that means usually if he does even spawn at all, he's going to spawn when I'm all the way on the ground, which is a bit troublesome. But not too terrible. Giant skeletons spawn here, so we Shadowshackle the path between us and them. That way if they charge at us, they get caught. And we are safe, like that. I'm gonna have them, they only spawn when you approach their pile of bones. So I'm gonna summon them in waves, that way you don't have to deal with all of them at the same time. A little safer. And there's our Cursed Dragon, like I was talking about. That was a bit close. I have stability augment, so their wings will not bother me. We count wings getting staggered like that as a hit. You'll also see me jump periodically when they take wing. It's because if you're in the air when they do the move, you don't get caught. Like, you'll see me jump there too. It just avoids staggers, that's all. We're gonna stay in this position, and then we're gonna use this room to avoid his big breath attack when he rears back. See? Jump. This is the best position we can get him in with this tactic. It looks like he's just a little bit further back than I would like. Typically he'll get caught there and we can still shoot the heart. I'm a little bit too far left for that drop though. Probably gonna rear back. No. Very generous. You certainly will now. There it is. As I said before, we go back into this room. I like to break this crate so I can get a little further in. And we have a dead time, so we'll do that. That breath is by far the most dangerous move he has, and that's the one we want to avoid. Nice. Now there's still a few more giant skeletons, so we're going to Shadowshackle again. For the safety, do a loop around here. We should have like a couple big skeletons as well as one sorcerer, if I remember correctly. Yep, sorcerer dead. Big skeletons left. Now they might jump over the thing like that. That's fine. We just backtrack the other way through our Shadowshackle, and if he does not die before then, we just catch him in it anyway. Next room is the Forsaken Cathedral. Forsaken Cathedral has two configurations: Saurian with Goblin Sages, or Vile Eyes with Goblin Sages. We prefer Vile Eyes because it makes sure that we don't have wraiths in the final room. We got Vile Eyes, perfect. Instead, in the final room, we're going to have Goblin Sages along with Mage Corrupted Pawns. Mage Corrupted Pawns don't attack us. They just cast debilitations as well as heals. Goblins do attack us, but they're really slow about it, so we can kill them all before they even get cast off, typically. We Ricochet Hunter the rats. There's nothing worse than getting a good run in and then having a rat like come behind you and bite your ankle. Silver Knight with Goblin Sages. They don't tend to spawn until like a little close, so we prep the Ricochet Hunter. Clear him out. No random spawn there, so we get to move on. Here's our Corrupted Pawns and Goblin Sages. Goblin Shamans, actually, is what they're called, not Sages. It's Saurian Sages. But yeah, Goblin Shamans. Again, really easy to evade the one attack that came through. Next is my favorite fight in the game, Dark Bishop. Really easy for us. We're just going to Magick Rebalancer out here. The reason for that is because my game's a little bit weird, and if I Rebalancer in the hallway, the Dark Bishop likes to like chill in the hallway during the fight. And then he gets caught in the ceiling, he becomes immune or invulnerable because his hat's in the ceiling, and the hat is the source of his power. So we buff back there. Goal, as always, is to take out the dragon as quickly as possible. You'll see me shoot the bishop here. Once he finishes his first cast after the dragon dies, we're going to switch to Golden Claw like this and silence him. 2 full volleys of a Gold Forge Gold Claw will silence him every time. So now there's only one ability he can hit us with, and that is the red Death Magic Seeker Bolt thing. No idea what it's called. Which is why we switch immediately back to daggers. Just in case he does cast that, we can dodge roll on demand. We'll also use daggers for the rest of the run, so it's worth changing it out anyhow. He's attempting Maelstrom. He's silenced, and he'll die before it anyhow. Very easy. Now, the next room is Rawwood Depository. Again, as always, 2 configurations. Saurian Sages or Silver Knights with Wraiths. I would prefer the Saurians because the Wraiths can always hit you, and that's never fun. It's not a big problem to have Wraiths, it's just there's a couple moments where we have to be ready to evade, and they're tight evasion windows. I can hear the bones, which means we have Wraiths, so I immediately loose that Ricochet, try and hit all the ghosts. Now in this room we have snakes, but if we had the other configuration, it would have had goblins, which is why you see me looking up. I just kind of forgot which one we had. Here is the first part of the run that can be a little tense. After these Vile Eyes, a Wraith will spawn when we get a little bit closer. So you'll see me ricochet and step forward because I want the ricochet out to hit him immediately. Didn't. I dodged too late. Fortunately, he missed me, so it didn't matter. That was the first tense moment. We have a living armor on the other end of this corridor. You'll see me buff here because I don't want it to drop off. While I have a man with like a 11-foot sword chasing me down. I guess ghost with an 11-foot sword. Fortunately, Ricochet Hunter will pull him as well as Now here's where the other tense part is. There are two little phantoms. They don't spawn until we get to a certain point. So I like to shoot the ricochet and creep forward a little bit, and it's tense. Sometimes they will not spawn until too late, and then it'll dash through me, and the problem is we're in this tiny hallway and there's nowhere for us to dash. Elder Ogre can spawn there. It did not, which is sad face. I really like killing that one, even though it's it's probably the most stressful Elder Ogre spawn in the game. Or in the run, at least. But, oh well. This is me responding to Twitch chat. Pay it no mind. But yeah, next is Forgotten Halls. Forgotten Halls? Yeah. Something like that. And two configurations with two different chances. You'll see me Rebalancer here. There it goes. It's because one of the configurations has Garm in it, and sometimes they will just be in the room waiting for you at the start. So we want to have a Ricochet Hunter prepped and ready to go the moment we go through that door. Instead, we got the other, which is Death. This is the other rare occurrence. That means we got the other configuration as well. So the Garm configuration will take the place of the actual Lich configuration, which will also spawn Garm later on in the room. This configuration typically has Gold and Silver Knights. Or maybe I said that backwards. Oh yes, I did say that backwards. The Gold and Silver Knights configuration is the Garm one. This one would have been Liches, which is why we have the Hellhounds. Over here we're going to have more Hellhounds and Sorcerers, but there's also a Strigoi, which we want to kill first. Which, fortunately, that time we did. A lot of times we don't get as effective. Hellhounds are scary because they can shoot up at us through the ground there, and the explosion will hit us, and that counts. So you'll see me be very scared of Hellhounds in this area. As scared of Hellhounds in this area as we weren't about them in the Duskmoon Tower. I'm going to see if I can hit the sorcerers from up here, because sometimes they'll forget you're alive and we get to hit them. We'll see. Looks like I changed my mind, decided to go this way. We sprint through there because the leap worms fall down, obviously, as you saw. We can't hit them until they drop. I'm glad I chose to try and fight them from down below. It's a lot safer, especially once the Hellhounds are active. Shadowshackle just in case. I don't think that'll get much use. That man's trying to cast Seism. This is me responding to something in Twitch chat by showing what resistances I have with the armor I'm wearing. Pay it no mind. Leapworms fall down from the ceiling over here. We're going to sprint past them once again, shoot backwards, call it a day. Bloodless Stockades, 2 configurations. Cyclops with mage pawns and white with phantasms. We prefer the Cyclops because the white often floats into the ceiling and becomes invulnerable for a moment if you don't really nuke him. I just find it frustrating. Neither's difficult. Here you will see me get to this edge and shoot the spiders and then hop over. The spiders will shoot us with Dope if we just run over, which is a hit. The reason I don't go through the other side is because the leapworms fall from the ceiling only as you go, and they kind of sometimes spawn in and then despawn, and it's just awkward. So I just avoid it altogether. That way I don't have to deal with it. Here I'm buffing because if I don't buff, I don't kill the Lich immediately if we have it. And we do. So it's a good thing I did. I often forget to buff, and then we'll get there and I'll try and kill it, and we don't, and it gets up to the ceiling, and I have to wait like half a minute. It's whatever. Bats right here, really easy as Magick Archer. We'll shoot a second volley partway down so that we can make sure we got any stragglers that we happened to miss last time. Usually you'll get all of them on the first time, but probably 1 in every 4 will hit a straggler. So because we had the white up above, we're going to have 2 living armors and 4 vile eyes down here. We'll kill them all. We could also have an Elder Ogre spawn. If we had the Cyclops, we would have had Gore Cyclops with vile eyes and then a death spawn. But living armor it is today. We're going to buff right here just in case the Elder Ogre does spawn while we're fighting the living armor. That way we don't have this situation where we suddenly lack damage. And Ricochet Hunter will really clean up this area extremely efficiently. I'm holding the bow there because I forgot that I had already killed one of the vile eyes for it, and I was expecting it to be there. It wasn't. There was me testing to see if an Elder Ogre spawns. It didn't, so we're onto the Spar Yard of Scant Mercy, which is the usual run killer. 3 different configurations, 2 Fire Drakes, a Fire Drake and a Frostworm, or 2 Frostworms. We want Fire Drakes. Fire Drakes are very easy for us to kill. We're going to Magic Rebalancer before going in because, frankly, we don't have time to once the fight starts. We need to have at least 1 dragon dead before we need to Rebalancer again. If we have either Frost or the Frost and Fire configuration. If we get double Fire, it's by far the most lenient configuration. And it looks like we get 2 Fires. So what you'll see me do is shoot this one to get it angry, because I don't want it to get too far around. And then I'm going to immediately back up and try to get myself forward into this corner. The reason for that is when the dragons fall, I do not want them falling up here where I am. If they do, then they'll start charging at me, and that is a bad time. So instead we're going to try and manipulate their fall so that they land outside every single time, and we're happy. That one landing up top is a little bit concerning, but it looks like it fell off as it was trying to climb up, which is perfect. From here, we should be able to keep both dragons in the same loop of falling on the other side over and over and over again until the end. So we're just going to Rebalancer since we have some dead time, and we're going to keep riddling him with Sixfolds. When you're low stamina, like I am presently, just shoot it with regular bolts. If you have the buff, you can knock him down that way. You do decent damage. You just don't want them up, because if they're up, they might breathe fire on you, which is not good. The longer they stay up, the more likely it is that you make a mistake and fail to knock them down in time. So generally, I will just shoot them as quick as possible. As this plays out, now's as good a time as any to plug my stream. I stream Monday through Friday over at twitch.tv/localtico. We play Dragon's Dogma almost exclusively. We have a good time. We talk a lot about the game. Sometimes other stuff. If you have any questions about the game, feel free to pop in. I am far from the best player. I've been playing for 10 years about now, so I've got some good experience. I'm just a very diligent player. Share my knowledge with you if you're trying to get into no hits for this game or just playing casually. Usually I don't do no hits. This is something that I've done in the past that I wanted to do again, and this time we're recording it, so it's real. It actually happened. There, the dragons reset, which is why the one that was low health on the left side is now on the right side. It happens sometimes. It has to do with them falling and getting caught on things. If they fall in place too long, they like to reset. It's no big deal. You just keep going, kill them. Move on. Next, we have the Fallen City. 2 configurations. Eliminators with 2 Grancis level Wyverns, or Living Armor with 1 Bitterblack Isle Thunder Wyvern. We want the single dragon because it's easier to manipulate 1 dragon. It's also fewer things for us to kill because it's 3 Living Armor versus probably 7 or 9. Maybe 8. Maybe 8 eliminators. I don't actually count, I'm guessing. I think it's 8. Counting in my head just now. We have the eliminators. You'll see me hang out over here by the stairs. I don't want to go past the corner. If I go past the corner, the dragons will spot you, and they will roost and cast magic at you. We don't want to deal with that. We would much rather have no magic. So we will stay this way until we hear them start flying away. And it looks like we managed to evade them. From here, we're going to kill all of the eliminators except for the final 2. Ricochet Hunter does wonders. Obviously, it does wonders pretty much everywhere in Bitterblack. But here, with the angles and the corners, we can pull the eliminators long before they see us and long before they are in a combat stance, which means we get preemption bonus damage, which is quite lovely. That is just in case another eliminator's there. There isn't. I know that. I'm just dumb. So we've managed to kill all of the eliminators that might meddle with our affairs up here without aggroing the dragons. So now we get to fight the dragons one-on-one. By doing it this way, we can fight each dragon individually without having to worry about the other one bothering us, which makes it considerably easier. So we're just going to shoot him. He rotated that direction, which puts him on the level I'm on. This is not where I want him to be. I would much prefer him to be on the roof across the alley. Breaking the horn is also something I don't want to do, because he can do his shout, which will hit me. Even with stability, I won't get knocked over, but I can still get hit by it and silenced, and that counts as a hit. So that's why you saw me panic roll away. He did not shout, surprisingly. He did there, though. Fortunately, we're really far away. He shouts again. There you see the struggle of trying to precision aim with an auto targeting ability. It's really hard to hit fine points as a Magick Archer sometimes. For instance, Daimon's head in the next room is hard to hit because you can't aim at it. Here we'll do the same thing. We'll shoot the dragon from over here so that we can kill it without having to deal with the eliminators at the same time. It landing right there, that's where I wanted the other one to be. I wanted to knock it down across the way, that way I can shoot it. Since the reason you want it there is because the roof is sloped, so it'll tend to fall a little bit lower than you, which makes it so that you actually have a decent advantage at it, and it's not on the same platform, so if it decides to get frisky, it can't charge into you. Here we have Surprise Eliminator sprinting at us from the dark. It's very rude. Fortunately, he did it after we had buffed. At least mostly. So we get to voice our displeasure using lightning arrows. Here we have the corpse of the dragon we just killed, for some reason, migrating south for the winter. And this is the final eliminator. All that stands in our way is the 3 living armor. Regardless of which configuration you get, living armor or eliminators, at the end will be 3 of the alternate enemy type. So here we have living armors. The combo I'll be using, most likely, is shoot 1 arrow, sixfold, shoot 1 arrow, sixfold, shoot 1 arrow. That pulls 1 at a time without getting the others too interested. And it also, when I shoot the second regular arrow, it will break the armor. The reason I do shoot that last arrow is the sixfold often will break the armor without, but sometimes a couple bolts will hit the shield and it won't break it. If I shoot the arrow, it almost always will. And you get that stagger halfway through his run, so we get extra time to get that sixfold second shot off. One left, we can just sixfold because we're not worried about pulling anybody else because they are all dead. Bitterblack Sanctum, one enemy, one configuration. Two, I guess, if you count pre and post Daemon. But one configuration in post Daemon, because there's not really a consideration otherwise. Daemon's a pretty simple fight. We buff with Magick Rebalancer. We shoot him with regular arrows. You'll see me rotate anti-clockwise. That is to evade and avoid a lot of his attacks. His thrusting punch, his regular punch kick, his grab, all of those are moves that he will use. If you are in front of him, if we rotate behind him, he won't, and instead, before he can use those moves, he will like spin around. And if he does his grab, if you are already moving to the opposite side of his hand, it's easier to get away. I am notoriously bad at dealing with his grab, so this is why I employ this strategy. And you'll see it come into play right here. See, immediately start rotating. Casting is the best thing he can do. The only cast we're afraid of is if he does the ice spikes, but he's not going to do that, it looks. At 2.5 health bars missing, he will start moving towards the center to consider doing the Soul Vortex. At 3 health bars missing, he will go to the center and do Soul Vortex. If you are wailing on him, he might do his thrusting corkscrew punch thing, at which point he will immediately Soul Vortex, which is how you get him to do it kind of in weird spaces. You saw me evade the Vortex itself by going to the other side of that rubble. In the no-hit run, if we take stamina damage, we count that as a hit. So we get over there before he finishes the channel, or before he starts the channel, rather. That way we don't have to deal with that. Awakened form is actually better because the bolts, like we were talking about previously, they aim center of mass, so we hit his face a lot. We're not going to rotate around him, we're going to stand kind of front and center. There we had to kind of move and shimmy around a little bit to avoid combustions, but for the most part we're going to stand at about this distance. Now you see me here, he's below 2.5 health bars missing, so I'm going to move over towards our rebel. We can see he's floating that way, so we're just going to keep the rubble between us and him, so that we can ensure we don't take stamina damage, and we just keep shooting him. This was a particularly good situation because he's facing us, so we get to hit his head even in this configuration when he's bent over like that. So we get the increased damage, and voila. I hope you guys found this video helpful, informative. This is just kind of how I think about the run as I progress through it. This is what I'm considering as I go through every door, encounter every enemy. Evading damage is great, like getting nice dodge rolls off, but if you can just know what's up ahead and deal with it before it has to deal with you, that's how you succeed. I had a good time making this. I hope you guys like the narration. Let me know in the comments if you think I need to improve something or if you have some recommendations, because I am going to do another one of these. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Be sure to check me out on Twitch. I stream Monday through Friday, 10:30 Eastern. We play Dragon's Dogma. We talk about it. We have a good time. Feel free to drop by. Have a great day, everybody.